This is Who Are We Voting For? Meet the candidates. I put these videos together so you could put a name to a face to the candidates that you're voting for. So we don't go into the voting booth wondering who we're voting for. This is for the voters and not for the candidates, so we are more educated as voters.
My name is Khari Mosley. I am a native of the north side of Pittsburgh. I live in Point Breeze now. I grew up on the north side. First few years of my life I spent in Manchester, and then when I turned 10, I moved to the Mexican Ward Street section of the north side. I went to Martin Luther King Elementary School as well as Manchester Elementary School. I went on to Greenway Middle School, and I graduated from Perry High School before going off to IUP. I spent a lot of time playing sports growing up. Played a lot of basketball, a lot of baseball. I'm a proud member of the 1991 state championship basketball team at Perry, and I, spent a lot of time, as an adult, coaching youth. I've been a coach of AAU baseball as well as basketball with the Edgewood Basketball League. My father is Thaddeus Mosley, the well-known sculptor who's been, carving wood for the better part of 60-some years. He's, attained a level of international notoriety over the last few years. Just recently had a large exhibit in New York City. He's a big influence on me. Watching him, work at the post office for 38 years and come home, cook dinner, and then go to the studio to carve wood taught me a lot about work ethic, and following your dreams and following your passions and never giving up on the things you believe in. My mother, who's dearly departed, she passed away 8 years ago. Taught me a lot about patience. Unfortunately, she spent most of her adult life suffering from mental illness. She was diagnosed with paranoid schizophrenia during my teenage years, and I spent about almost 20 years taking care of her, until she passed away when I was 39. And that taught me a lot about the importance of mental health and what it means to be a caretaker, for someone. I'm married to Judge Chelsea Wagner, who also was a state representative, as well as the county controller. More recently, we have two sons, Thaddeus and Isaiah, 8th grader and 5th grader. They both play a lot of sports. Our older son, Thaddeus, obviously he's named after my father and my grandfather, plays a lot of baseball. And my 5th grader, Isaiah, is really into basketball. So I live in the North Point Breeze section of the city where we've been for the last 12 years. We really enjoy living in that community. We enjoy the diversity, also the proximity to a lot of the amenities that are on the city's east side. And just really, enjoy, being in that part of the city. I think one of the best decisions we made as a family was to move into that community. It's been, a long journey, from the north side, in the 1980s. I've watched the city, transform tremendously over the last 40-some years, watching the steel mills close and watching a lot of friends move out of town, and folks I graduated college with moved to DC, moved to Florida, moved to Arizona, for greener pastures. And I think, finally we're at a place, where Pittsburgh is really turning the corner. I'm really, glad I made the decision to stay here, even though I had the opportunity to work in a number of cities, from New York to San Francisco to Milwaukee, to other cities around the country in politics. I'm happy to be home and be here right now in this moment, the moment that we're in right now as a city. I truly believe that my experience, my qualifications make me a candidate that can bring a lot to District 9. I've worked in civic engagement for the better part of 20 years. I've been working on campaigns, working on issue campaigns, helping pass legislation at the state level, helping pass legislation at the federal level. I also have worked in government. I used to work for City Councilman Salu Dean. I've worked for State Representative Jake Wheatley. I worked for then City Councilman Bill Peduto as well. But I've also worked for a variety of progressive organizations, from the Blue Green Alliance. I was the state director from 2012 to 2019 and helped pass environmental legislation at the state level, and working with environmental groups and labor unions to pass policies that not only would promote sustainability and environmental stewardship, but also promote creating good family-sustaining union jobs as well. And most recently, I've worked with One Hood and One Hood Power, promoting criminal justice reform, promoting affordable housing, promoting social justice, and as well as voting rights and other important issues such as reproductive rights. So I think I bring, a very diverse background to the table that will, help me not only represent folks in the community, but also have an eye at moving progressive policy forward that can help transform the city. So, I think that, from the relationships that I have in the community, from being, involved in community activities and political campaigns, as well as doing policy and advocacy work, over the last 20 years, gives me a network of experts that I can reach out to help guide me on best practices when it comes to forward-thinking policy, but also understanding the entire landscape, and not only how District 9 fits in, to the entire political ecosystem, of the city, but also, understanding the city as a whole, and how, we can move District 9 forward, but also, benefit the city as a whole, because, while I'm running to represent the communities in District 9, I think we have to have an eye for the city, as a whole. One part of the city can't prosper without the other parts of the city prospering as well. So I look forward to not only having an eye for Homewood and Larmer and Lincoln Leamington and East Hills and Park Place and Regent Square and Point Breeze and Garfield and Staten Heights, East Liberty and Friendship, but also just thinking about the city as a whole. And I think I bring a unique background that makes me uniquely suited to serve as the next council person in District 9. I think I bring a variety of skills to the table as a leader in terms of, best representing the people in District 9. First, I would start off with my background as an organizer. I spent a lot of time, when I was the state director of the League of Young Voters, and then becoming the national political director of the League of Young Voters. I really honed my skills as for organizing people, as well as building alliances, with organizations and other stakeholders, bringing folks to the table. I think I have a ability to bring folks to the table of different views, of different interests, and different perspectives, and get them to see a common purpose. I think that's a unique skill that I bring to the table, in this field, of candidates running in District 9. I also bring a background of knowing how to develop policy. This won't, be my first foray into coming up with policies, advocating for policies, and helping policies move forward. I understand public policy, whether it's federal policy, state level policy, as well as municipal policy. I think it's very important that not only to, serve the interests of the constituents from a services standpoint, and making sure that the garbage is picked up, and the streets are salted, and kind of what I call the blocking and tackling of local government. But I think it's also important that we're able to kind of look forward, into the future and develop policies that can transform the city in a positive way. So again, another skill set I feel like I bring to the table, is public policy. I think another unique skill, that I have is that, I've always been a student of history. I've always been a student of Pittsburgh history, and in particular Pittsburgh political history. I think that we're in a very unique time, in our city's history, and I think we have a great opportunity to move our city forward while tackling some of the hard issues like affordable housing, public safety, and aging infrastructure. But as a student of history, I think in understanding history, I think, it helps us understand how we got, to where we are, how we can come up with solutions to address, the problems and the challenges that stand before us today. Understanding, how, Mayor Lawrence and Robert L. Van, came together to get Franklin Delano Roosevelt elected president in the early 30s, and changing, the city's trajectory from a Republican city to a Democratic city, and all the things that came, since then, from the transformation of going from an at-large council system to a by-district council system over the last 40 years, and how that has transformed city government. I think that, I have kind of a long view of history that I can bring to the table of understanding, how these districts, were created, and how these neighborhoods have changed, and, how Homewood is transformed from the 1950s to today, to figure out solutions, on how we can build on the rich history of a neighborhood like Homewood, as we try to build it back up, and transform the business district, back to, not necessarily how it used to be, but, another version of it that we all can be proud of. And I think that there's a lot that we can build on from a historical standpoint about the rich communities that are in District 9, that some of them are facing, a number of challenges, that we definitely have to address. But I don't want us to lose sight of, the rich heritage and legacy of these communities. I think that's something that we can really, really, really build on in a real way as we move these communities forward.
Thank you for watching this video, Pittsburgh Events. To watch this video again or any other video from Pittsburgh Events, you can go to the YouTube channel. It's 18 Ricco. It's youtube.com/18RICCO. Again, thank you for watching, and you can check out this video and any other video from Pittsburgh Events and many other videos that didn't make it on TV.
I think it's just one issue that we really need to focus on in District 9, and I would say as a city, across the board, is this issue of the intersection of affordable housing and community development. I think we have a unique opportunity to maintain affordability across the city, but also develop communities in a way that are sustainable and create opportunities for people to move from poverty to prosperity, but also do it in a way that, we maintain the integrity of neighborhoods, as well as not displace the folks who have put their blood, sweat, and tears into communities for decades. And I think we do so, by, attacking, the challenge of affordable housing in a variety of ways. One, I don't want us to get stuck in the silo of just looking at affordable housing from a rental standpoint. Clearly that's one tool in the toolbox of maintaining affordability, in neighborhoods. But we also have to get serious about affordable home ownership, and figuring out how do we bring, a table of stakeholders together, from the community development corporations, neighborhood groups, workforce development agencies that are very important, because also when we talk about home ownership and housing, we also have to have a workforce development standpoint, because people have to be able to work and have family sustaining jobs to be able to, maintain homes, or maintain apartments and stay in communities. When we know that they're making a good living, we're not going to be under that same pressure of how do we keep people in the community. But also, one of the other things that we have to do is figure out a way to streamline, the process of taking vacant and blighted properties back to productive use. Right now it takes incredibly too long, for those who are interested, in taking over properties that are vacant, abandoned, blighted, maybe beyond repair, and bringing those back to productive use. We have to, downtown, figure out how do we streamline that process and make it easier for those who want to get these properties back on the tax rolls, which puts money back into the city's coffers, and figure out how we do that. And then we also have to figure out a way that, we can improve relations between developers and community groups, as well as residents of the community as a whole. We're currently, in a time when, in certain communities, particularly in District 9, developer community relationships aren't where they need to be. We have to figure out, how, developers can come into communities, develop communities in a positive way, bring new things into the communities, while at the same time having the community at the table, not coming after the decision has been made, but be able to be a productive partner in that process, moving that process forward, in a way that we bring new development and continue to grow the city, back to where it was in the 1950s and the 1960s before the steel mills collapsed. But do so in a way, again, where we're not displacing people, tens of thousands of people out of the city because of affordability, or because they weren't part of the plan. The plan, was made without them part of the process. So I think, it's a variety of, of strategies, that we have to take, with a variety of stakeholders coming around the table and thinking about a comprehensive strategy to, again, how do we, maintain affordability, but also, invest in market rate housing, because we need that as well. And then also, how do we recycle, this abandoned, vacant, and blighted land, and transform that, into part of the development process as well. I believe voters in District 9 should vote for me because my campaign is all about inspiring, uplifting, and building bridges across the communities of District 9. District 9 is a very diverse community. We have some of the wealthiest neighborhoods in the city, and we have some of the neighborhoods facing the biggest challenges. I feel like I'm uniquely suited to be able to navigate through all these different communities and find solutions to the challenges that we face, but do so in a way where we're bringing as many stakeholders to the table as possible. My goal is not to be a sole leader sitting in an ivory tower making all the decisions. My vision is about bringing people together, getting people bought into the idea of participating in the process of transforming these communities. This is not something that I'm going to do by myself. I'm only going to do it with the help of committed folks in the communities who also believe that Pittsburgh's best days are still ahead of us. That Homewood's best days are still ahead of us, that Larmer's best days are still ahead of us, that Lincoln Lemington's best days are still ahead of us. And if you're willing to join me, in that process, I think there's not a limit to all the amazing things that we'll be able to accomplish together. But again, it's going to be a collective process, and I feel like that's why people should vote for me if they want to be part of this process. They want to be actively involved in transforming their community, actively involved in ensuring that affordable housing, is maintained in the city. Folks that are committed to investing in our infrastructure, so that we have sidewalks that are walkable, for our elderly citizens and our citizens that are in wheelchairs or have disabilities. For those folks who want to implement public safety policies that not only make the streets safer, but also respect people's constitutional rights. I think that those are the things that I'm passionate about doing, and bringing folks together, inspiring people to believe that, there's no limit to what we can do if we work together. And I'm asking people, walk with me through the halls of power, and I'm going to walk with you in these streets, and together, we're going to transform District 9 into something we all can be proud of. So I would be honored to have your vote on May 16th, or maybe a little bit sooner if you're voting by mail. But I would be honored, to have your support, and I look forward, to working with you to transform District 9 into a place we all can be proud of.
Thanks for watching the video. Make sure you hit the like button and subscribe to the channel so I can bring you more videos on subjects like this and many other topics. Please leave any comments in the comment section. Any questions or comments, I'll get back to them as soon as I possibly can. Thanks a lot for watching. Hope you have a great day, and I'll see you in the next video.